Today I want to show you how I paint my Cadian Fatigues for my Astra Militarum army. Uh, to start off with, I do a 50-50 mix of Bainlaid Brown and uh, Carrick Stone. It's the heavy metal recipe, sort of, but like cut down in some ways and made a little easier so I can mass produce them. When it comes to airbrushing these two colors, I mean, honestly, you could probably just get away with just Carrick Stone for this recipe. The Bainlaid Brown in the heavy metal recipe is used as a soft shade, but I'm not soft shading it in this, so you could probably just get away with Carrick Stone. I tend to go a little thicker when I airbrush these two because they're really hard to get opaque, at least easily, without like it over thinning. You know best with your airbrush, but that's tend to be how I do it. This is my first time doing really anything like this, so the video is going to be probably a little rough. I have a hard time getting focus, and my hand just gets in the way sometimes. But I've tried to cut out as much as possible to make it still seem coherent, but also not have just my arm for 30 minutes. After airbrushing the base coat, I water down some Steel Legion Drab like a lot, and sort of run it into the recesses. I try to target more towards the top of clothing or like in the deeper parts. You can also just do a little bit of it over some of the more open areas. Adds a nice little like earthy tone. It really helps set the shading for these successive steps. One thing I do tend to do is I tend to like go harder around the bottom, like over the overcoat, bottom of the overcoat, in the little line that runs along the top part, and I also try to go like pretty thick around like the knee pad area, armor areas, just so that the successive shading sort of isn't as stark against the bright Carrick Stone and Bainwood Brown. I also do it around the boots pretty thick as well, just to create some more lines and distinction between the different materials. After doing that, my next step is to take some Rhinox hide, and I may either mix that in with the Steel Legion Drab to get sort of a softer like deep shade, but I tend to use that around pretty much any of the recesses that are like have a clear line. I prioritize like straight Rhinox hide again around those like the gaiters, near the boots, the knee pads. I do a straight Rhinox hide line shade on the little line that goes on the over like the top part of the fatigues. After doing that, I take some base coat and I just generally clean up some of my mistakes. It's not too necessary because we're going to be painting a million of these guys, but I tend to clean up some of the mistakes if they're pretty obvious. After that, I take some pure Carrick Stone, just regular Carrick Stone, and do a sort of a small highlight around most of the features that are prominent, like a lot of the folds on the top part of the folds. I'll get the edge of the like over the top piece of the fatigues, and then like I generally outline the like little pockets on the fatigues themselves. After doing the Carrick Stone highlight, I generally mix in some white or ivory. I kind of use whatever's on my palette at the time, but I do about a 50-50 mix of those two, and I do an even finer highlight just on the very like edges of a lot of the like very extremely prominent features. So like the edge of the overcoat thingy, the pockets where I've outlined them in Carrick Stone already, some of the very prominent ridges on the folds of the pants. You can be pretty selective with this. You don't have to go everywhere. Honestly, you don't even have to do this highlight if you just want to get it quickly, but I enjoy doing this. It really adds another color on top that is distinguishable from the Carrick Stone before it and the base coat. Sometimes I'll glaze a little bit of it into like those flat parts, but it really depends on the model and on how like fast I'm trying to get it done. I hope this helped people that want to learn how to paint fatigues. It's pretty similar to the heavy metal box art. It uses the same colors, but I've cut it down, made it simpler a little bit so that I can get it done pretty quickly. And I've been able to knock out like 2 to 3 in batches, and so far I painted like 15, and I haven't been burnt out yet. But we'll see how long that lasts. Anyway, thank you for watching.